All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashim, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation. And those are who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus. All right. And this topic that we're going to discuss today needs no further introduction. Just read this headline. Chinese tech company is planning world's first humanoid robot which can carry pregnancy with artificial womb. Okay? And one has to question themselves, where do they get the idea to even have such a notion or concept of taking on a humanoid artificial pregnancy womb? This is straight from the mindset of Esau Edom, the wicked, okay? And we're going to get that in the scriptures, all right? Because Babylon has been that golden cup in Yahweh's hand that have caused all the nations to go mad or insane. And this is a case of the nations going insane. All right, because where did they get this idea? All right, from who? America with its test tubes. All right, its ability or its attempts to try to grow babies from test tubes. So China said, we're going to up you one and we're going to do an artificial womb. All right. Now, there's been experience in the past where they tried to, and they've to a degree been successful in producing a lamb outside of the mother's womb and have actually been able to what? Birth that lamb. All right, from a test tube. All right, well, guess what? Moab, which is Yahweh's washpot, is now calling out Edom, the so-called white man, who the Most High is going to use to shoot and to what? Get Esau Edom to up his game, okay? Because the Chinese, which is known as Moab biblically, is keeping Esau Edom, the so-called white man, on his toes, okay? Because Moab technology is just as, or if not rivaling, that of America's, okay? And here we go. It says a humanoid robot pregnancy robot with an artificial womb is being planned in China. See? China at one point in time was trying to get their numbers down because they were having too many babies. All right, now they're promoting that, and in so much that they are asking African Americans to come over there and impregnate their women. They'll pay them. Okay. It says in a move that could reshape how reproduction is approached in the future. The project is led by Kiowa Technology, a company based in Gyeonggi, which says the machine is being desired to replicate the process of human gestation. So this machine is going to replicate the process of a fetal being gestated in its mother's womb for the 9 months, okay? They're going to actually have an artificial human robot womb for their pregnancy. So who knows, man? They may get Jake over there and say, just give us your seed and we'll do the rest. All right? See, these nations, they've gone insane. They've gone mad because why? There's no checks and balance under this current rulership. All right? When the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. All right? This is not something that we should be rejoicing over. This is something that we should be mourning. But when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Showing you that the people that's currently in rulership, and particularly over there perpetrating in Israel, are not the people of the Bible, because there's no way that this would be allowed under the law, statute, commandments of the Most High. It just wouldn't. All right. The Most High made man and woman, not man and machine. Okay. So this is how you know the wicked is in authority, man. All right. By articles like this. It says reports suggest the first prototype may appear by 2026 with an estimated cost of around $13,900. Who really wants to pay $13,900 just to have a baby born from a machine? See, but under this current rulership, anything goes, man. The nations have gone mad, insane. We're going to get that translation, Lord willing. It says the announcement has already sparked global attention, and many are watching closely to see how such a system might work in practice. See? So the nations are watching, man. All right? It says how the humanoid robot would work. Kawaii Technology presents the data at the 2025 World Robot Conference in Beijing. Founder Zhang Kifeng explained that the humanoid robot would be built with an artificial womb located in its abdomen. I mean, you can't make this shit up, man. Okay, excuse the language, man, but they're going to put an artificial womb in a robot's abdomen. All right? What is it already going to be looking like? It's already bloated, or is it going to grow like a human in 9 months? Or are they going to already have the hump in the abdomen for the baby to grow into it? This shit is crazy, man. You can't make this up, man. Only under this wicked rulership, man. If you think when the real Israelites come into authority, you're going to have nations doing this shit like this, you crazy as well. It says the humanoid robot would be built with an artificial womb located in its abdomen. Inside, artificial amniotic fluid in a nutrient house would allow a fetus to develop in a way that mimics pregnancy. Hey, man. If the Lord don't come, you gonna see just how crazy and how wild these nations gonna get under this man's rulership. Because all of this is under the watch of Esau, Edom, man. St. Matthew 24 and 22. If the Lord had not shortened the days, there would no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened, man. Look at what the other nations wants to do. And under Esau, Edom, who don't care, he'll allow them to do it, man. All right? He will allow them to do it because why? It goes in contrary to what the word says. It says, Zhang said the underlying artificial womb technology has been tested in controlled laboratory settings. The challenge now is integrating the technology into a functional, you hear this, a functional pregnancy robot. So they want pregnant robots walking around here, man, in China. That's going to be wild, man. And you got people that's saying, oh, I love to travel. Well, imagine you going over to China in 2027. Lord willing, this place ain't around that long. And you seeing pregnant robots. Because the robots are already walking around here in America, man. Now imagine you go to China and these robots are pregnant robots, man. And this is the world that you want to be a part of. And this is the culture you want to travel and see and taste the foods and dine and cuisines and dinings and that, man. Come on, man. That's something I won't be able to get used to. I'm gonna travel halfway across the world just because I love to travel. I love to experience other people's cultures, the cuisines. I like to dine in. And I got a pregnant waitress robot serving me. And I'm gonna just look like I'm gonna just bypass it in the sake of I'm traveling, I'm experiencing cultures and not act like that's not normal. Man, come on, man. Get the F out of here. It says Zhang said the underlying artificial womb technology has been tested in controlled laboratory settings. So they already doing the testings, man. The challenge now is integrating that technology into a functioning pregnancy robot. According to a Chinese media, a prototype is expected within a year. So they're going to have this within a year from now. So sometime next year, around 2026, you could see the first potentially pregnant robot with an artificial womb in its abdomen. And you don't know if it's a man or a female, because a robot doesn't have a sex, okay? It's just an adamant object, a hunk of machine, metals and things of that magnitude. This is crazy. But this is to be expected under this wicked rulership. Because why? The earth and all its inhabitants, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Job 9:24. And then it goes on to show you who the wicked is. It says he covered the faces of the judges thereof. Just do a little Google research, type in Jesus and see who he looks like. So-called white man. Type in Moses, so-called white man. Everyone in the Holy Bible looks like a so-called white man. All right? And you can go through countless scriptures and discredit that and disprove that. But see, that's the wicked, man. It says, according to the Chinese media, a prototype is expected within a year. In the meantime, authorities in Guangdong province has already been approached to consider ethical and legal guidelines. But guess what? Hey, under this current rulership, Esau Edom doesn't care less how you run your country. As long as you paying them taxes and tariffs on his products, man, he could care less. See, but it's going to be a whole nother way of life in the kingdom, man. This is why we're going to have to break these nations, man, with that rod of iron, because of shit like this, okay? And you saying, yeah, it ain't right to put these other nations in slavery alongside the so-called white man. This is why we got to put them in slavery, man. For things just like this, man. We got to break them, all right, like a shiver. Like a potter's shiver. It says in 2017, researchers at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia placed a premature lamb, see, I told you, in a bio bag filled with artificial amniotic fluid where it continued to develop for several weeks. See, Moab get this from Esau Edom, man. All right. This damn devil has to be taken out of power, man. It's just that simple, man. Because if not, this place, this earth is going to be destroyed, man. Look at all the immorality. All right, this is just the latest, man. Okay? It says it continued to develop for several weeks. The research showed the potential for partial gestation, but not for a full pregnancy from fertilization to birth. For Kaiwa's humanoid robot to succeed, it would need to support every stage of development, a leap that many scientists believe remains uncertain. So that doesn't mean they ain't gonna try. All right. They want the first complete gestation pregnancy of a human. All right. And Moab is just that one that'll try this. Why? Because he's the Lord's washpot, his utensil, all right, to shoot and hit over the head with Esau Edom. All right, because hey, Edom and Moab, the so-called white man and so-called Chinese man, are going back and forth of who's, the most affluent nation out of all nations. All right, China, technology, military, the USA, technology, military. All right. See, before China was just looked at as an agriculture country, but now I'll say within the last 10, 20 years, China has stepped up its technology game, man. And now it's causing Esau Edom to do the same, which is why they're racing to get this RFID microchip completed and done with. All right, so they can be the first ones pursuing the prophecy to introduce this into the whole world. Okay, this is what we're waiting on, and the Lord has put the spirit on Moab to pressure Esau Edom to come out with this technology, because if not, Esau Edom may fear Moab might be the one to come out with this technology. All right. So it says the project also raised questions that extend beyond science. How would a child delivered by a pregnancy robot be recognized legally? Man, hey, that ain't gonna be a question, man. The times we get ready to come into, long as that child is being able to get chipped, it's gonna be good as new. Okay, as long as they deliver that child, because they may just open up the artificial womb like a C-section, take the child out, it's already been chipped, it's legal. No more questions. Okay. It says, how would a child delivered be a pregnancy robot be recognized legally? Easy. Because it's everybody on this earth by that time, Lord willing, is going to be chipped. All right. So they are going to have a little, everybody on this earth is going to have a little bit of robot in them. All right. So it ain't going to be looked at or frowned upon as it is right now, because right now the chip hasn't been made mandatory. But once the chip is made mandatory and people got microchips in their brain, it ain't going to be no different from a robot, quote unquote, birthing a human. All right. Morality is going to cease to exist, man. It's already under this damn wicked ruler. It says, who would be considered the parent? Right. It's probably more than likely going to be awarded to the state or to the country, you know, especially if they do these quote unquote abortions. They may give the mom, hey, we want to keep that fetal and just transplant it into this artificial robot, and in turn we'll give you said currency, 60,000, 70,000, or however much more on your RFID microchip. And she gonna say, sure, I don't see why not. I was gonna get rid of it anyways. Why not get money and I don't have to take the responsibility? No, you don't. We're gonna take care of everything. Okay, see? And because iniquity is gonna be waxed, because iniquity, Matthew 24:12, because the love of many shall wax cold, you know, it's not gonna be anything for a mom to give up their their fetus, Slakia, for a little bit of extra change. I mean, it's gonna get real bad out here, man. Right? And you're gonna see the full brunt of this damn man. Okay, we're seeing it now by him allowing these other nations to do this unthinkable acts. These questions remain unresolved, and they will likely shape the debate as the technology progresses. Well, guess what? By the time that RFID microchip come out, all bets are off, man. There will be no more morale. Because once you take that chip, you've already given up your morale, your decency. So from that point forward, there ain't going to be nothing, okay? Everything is going to be, what? Man, crazy out here. It says, China tech pushes into biology. All right, so that's the point. Okay, you know, so hey, get ready for the unthinkable, man. Get ready for the unthinkable under this damn man, Esau Edom. Okay, it won't let me close that little. It won't let me close this right here. I'm pushing the X to close it, but it's trying to get me to take on something else. So, you know, that's pretty much it, man. And don't be surprised if America feel obligated to outdo China and talk about their own humanoid pregnant robot after the chip or leading up into the chip. Okay? Just China's going to be that one that, hey, it can be used as a scapegoat, per se. Oh, yeah, China is immoral. We'll never do that. And then once everybody's getting used to it, then here come America with its form or version better than China's humanoid robot. All right? So this is where we at. Okay? Let's get a few precepts. All right, this is the book of Jeremiah 51 and verse 7. It reads, Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. See, and this is why they're going to have to go into slavery, all right? Because they've drunken that wine of Babylon, all right? This is the reason, or one of the reasons, that we're going to have to break these nations with that rod of iron, man. And this is why it's going to take 1,000 years, okay? We're going to have to undo all this madness and insanity that Babylon the Great has influence over all these other nations, all right? Let's get this in the alternate translation. Let's go down to the NASB 20. It reads, Babylon has been a golden cup in the hand of Yahweh, intoxicating. See? Intoxicating, influencing, having the nations drunk off that what? Babylon wine. It says, intoxicating all the earth. The nations have drunk of her wine. Therefore, the nations are gone insane. This is why we got to break them, man. This is why it's required of us to put them into slavery. All right? See, you Christians, you so-called Christians, and you other atheists, you don't understand just how effed up this place is, man. All right? Because why? You've drunken of the wine too. And if you of any other nation outside of Israel, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, if you are any other nation outside of Israel, Yasharallah, the other 17 nations, y'all gonna get broken with that rod of iron, man. Because why? Y'all all drunken this what? This philosophies, these doctrines, these ideologies, all right? And the 2/3 of our people are gonna get destroyed. But see, they gonna be all right when they come back in the kingdom. But you other nations, you have to get broken, all right? Because why? You gone. Just look at this story we talking about going over. You think this is gonna happen to us? No, and we're gonna show you, all right, through the scriptures. We're gonna show you ain't gonna be none of this. All right? So it says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the hand of Yahweh, intoxicating all the earth. The nations have drunk of her wine. Therefore, the nations are gone insane. Hey, you gotta, when somebody's gone insane, man, let's see if we can get that word insane. It ain't gonna let us get that. Well, let's see, we can do a web search. Insane can refer to a few things: a severely disordered state of mind, in a date or offensive way, something absurd or extreme, or something astonishingly great. Now, it's the one that says disordered state of mind. It's also used informally to describe something very annoying, angry, upset, or excited, often to the point of not thinking clearly, right? These nations, they ain't thinking clearly, all right? Because why? They drunk off that Babylon juice, okay? They drunken off that Babylon juice. So guess what? We got to come knock it all up out of them, man. All right, that's what them 1,000 years of slavery going to do. It's going to detoxicate them. See? And then once that 1,000 years is up, pursuant to Obadiah 118, we're going to get rid of that degenerate vine, okay? We're going to get rid of that cancer in the world, all right? Which is who? The Edomites, so-called white man. They're going to be done away with, man. And then the nations will be able to go back to their lands and serve the true and living power of Yahweh in all righteousness. And you ain't going to hear about no stories like this, man. All right? Because they're going to know better. See, but now under this current rulership, they can do whatever they want, man. Okay? So let's go to Revelation 2 and verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And what is he going to do? And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, And as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers. See, we're going to have to break them, man. Because they're going to have they got a lot of ideologies that are in contrary to what the word says. So they're going to have to get broken, man. All right. Just like it says, a horse not broken becomes strong-headed. And a child not broken becomes willful. All right. Roughly paraphrasing, but I believe it's in Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. It says, even as I receive of my Father, and I will give him the morning star. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. See? So this is reserved for the 144,000 that's going to be ruling alongside with Yahushua to what? Break these nations into subjectivity. Get them under the law, statute, commandments the right way. All right, to undo all of what this damn wicked has done. Okay? Has been that golden cup in Yahweh's hand that had made all the nations drunk, intoxicated, going insane. All right? This is Isaiah 60 and 12. It says, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. See? So guess what? If they don't serve the Lord in righteousness, they going to get what? Utterly wasted, destroyed. All right? So they ain't going to have no choice in the matter, man. Okay? They're going to get destroyed, man. Because of why? This wickedness. It has to be rooted from up out of the earth, man. What Esau, Edom done, it has to be completely undone and unrooted from up out of the earth, man. All right? Got to get this seed of wickedness up out of here. Okay? I'm looking for a particular verse. Let me see if I can type in rain and it comes up. Thought it was in Zechariah, but it may be. It was Zechariah 14 to 17. It says, let me see where I want to go at. We'll start at 16. Zechariah 14 and 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all, not some, all the nations which came up against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to worship the king. So all other nations, the rest of the nations outside of Israel is going to come up to worship us, all right? Because they're going to learn our statutes and commandments. They're going to learn to observe our high holy days. All their religions, all their gods is going to be put away. They ain't going to worship anybody. They're only going to worship the true and living power of Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahushua. And they're going to have to come up every year to participate in the high holy day, and they're going to have to keep the commandments. And guess what? If they don't, we read in Isaiah 60 and 12, they're going to be what? Utterly wasted. And here it's saying, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to worship the king. All right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. See? So they're going to have to come and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. They're going to have to, give what's required of them. And if not, we're going to read what's going to happen. It says, verse 17, and it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth, what's going to happen? Unto Jerusalem to worship the king, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. This is just going to be like they're going to be utterly destroyed. We're going to cut off the rain. All right. And they ain't gonna get no crops. They ain't gonna be no damn lab grown meat in the kingdom, man. It's gonna be, that's why we're gonna rule with righteousness, man. See, this current rulership is wicked, man. They want to feed you GMOs, lab grown meat, all type of abominable shit. In the kingdom, it's gonna be all organic and natural, man. So when the rain gets cut off and you can't grow your crops, guess what? You ain't gonna have no alternative. I'm gonna go grow some lab meat or some GMOs. Nah, you gonna perish, man. All right. This is why we're gonna rule you nations with a heavy rod of iron, man. We're gonna break you like a potter's clay into shivers. All right, because we see the results of what happens when you're allowed to go off and do your own thing, man. You want to have a humanoid pregnant robot, man. that's beyond comprehensible. All right, but we understand, because why? The earth, Job 9:24, is given into the hands of the wicked. All right, if you can't get the picture, then I don't know how much more we got to tell you. The earth, all its inhabitants, the nations, is given into the hand of the wicked. Who's that? Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand. Babylon represents the Edomites, okay? He covered the face of the judges thereof. Just look at any picture. Google Jesus, Moses, Aaron, anybody. You're gonna see they don't look like nothing that's described in the Holy Bible. They look like the Edomites, okay? So-called white man. It says he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, if it ain't Esau, Edom, tell me who else fits the bill. Okay, if it's not the so-called white man, tell me who else fits the bill, man. It says, if not, where and who is he? We still waiting. You can't. You ain't gonna type in Jesus and get a Hawaiian looking guy. You ain't gonna type in Moses and get an African looking dude, a Hamite. You ain't gonna type in. You're gonna get Esau, Edom, man. All right. This is why he has to be destroyed. After his 1,000 years is up, his judgment is different. He won't be able to come up once a year. After his 1,000 years is up, he's going to be utterly destroyed. He's going to be burned with fire. Obadiah 1:18. All right. So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's why this ain't going to be frowned upon once this chip is made mandatory. Because all bets are off. Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. It ain't gonna be nothing to see a pregnant robot serving you in a diner, okay, or halfway around the world. All right, and you got to ask yourself, do you really love sin to that extent that you can just turn the eye and look at it like it ain't nothing? See, that's why it says go through the city and mark those, which that spiritual mark, for those that cry and sigh for the abomination, man. Because you got 2/3 of our people, along with the other nations, that say, hey, as long as it doesn't affect me, I could care less. But then you got the elect that they see the wickedness, and they what? They sighing and crying. Why? Because it's against the word, man. And through our sighing and crying, guess what? The Lord is going to mark us, but not with the physical mark in Mark 13:16, but with the spiritual mark. All right, to be what? Exempt from his judgments. This is Ezekiel 9 and verse 4. It reads, and Yahweh said unto him, this is that angel, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. 2 Maccabees 5:19 tells us that. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. We're crying and sighing right now, man. And so much that as long as we continue to cry and sigh to the end, we will have that mark, that spiritual mark of redemption, of exemption from being judged when Yahweh starts to bring forth judgments on a greater regular basis. Okay? So if you ain't sighing and crying for the abominations that's going on, you got to really examine yourself. All right? Because the people that's in rulership right now, they're not, I repeat, they're not the people of the Bible in the sense that they belong in the land that they're in. All right, they belong there for the time being to pursue prophecy, but by no stretch of the imagination are they the biblical Israelites. This is Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1. It reads, "The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, the northern and southern kingdom. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh house shall be established in the top of the mountains," which you're seeing now in the last days. All right, you're seeing the house of David being established, the ruling body governor of the world to come, the eternal kingdom. It says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills." The hills represents other rulerships and governments, and this is going to be the ruling government. All right, this is going to be the end all be all. All right, ain't going to be no joint rulership with the house of David. All right, under Yahushua, it's going to be how we say according to the law, statutes, and commandments, and that's the end. All right, ain't gonna be no compromise. I'm gonna let you serve Buddha on this day as long as you serve the Lord. Nah, ain't gonna be no serving no Buddha, no Jesus, no any of these false idols, man. All right, it says, "The mountain of Yahweh house shall be established in the top of the mountains," right? And you're seeing the Israelites waking up to their identity, back to who they are. It says, "And shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob." Are we seeing that right now to those people in the land that's claiming to be the Israelites? No. Matter of fact, they're degrading the land, which is why that land has to be purged with fire. All right, just look at all the rainbow parades that go on there, over there in Israel. The Lord got to clean that place out with fire, okay, with missiles. It says, "To the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways." See, where do you see people coming and flocking to learn the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai over there in that land, in our land, but it's occupied now by those, 1948ers? They're not, man. But you got individuals that's coming to seek the Lord now through Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, by his servants, the prophets, asking questions on comment boards, asking questions in person, seeking what's going on, seeking answers, because you have all nations that's, inquisitive of what's going on. They can't explain, but they want answers, all right? And those that are seeking them are finding them through who? The prophets, the service of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, all right? While he may be found, all right? Because after a while, guess what? The famine of the word is going to come, and nobody's going to be able to look and find the servants, the prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, all right? It says, "And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths." See? So guess what? We're going to teach these other nations, all right? By what? By the way of breaking them over the head with that rod of iron, man, in slavery. Those 1,000 years, they're going to come and learn, man, okay? We're going to teach them. We're going to show them the correct way. We're going to be their authority, all right? That's just the way it is, man, all right? And we in those last days, man, where the Lord is getting ready to return. And when he returns, before it's all said and done, he's going to cast down the crowns, the thrones of these other nations. We're going to take them into slavery. Those 1,000 years is going to be set up, going into the kingdom of righteousness, where these heathens and other nations are going to learn the law, statutes, and commandments. And then after those 1,000 years are up, they'll be allowed to go back to their land to what? To practice and worship Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Ain't gonna be no humanoid robots, all right? It says, "And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law," right? This is speaking of Yahweh Shai. and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. See? So we're going to be the next ruling body governor of the whole earth, pursuing the second Ezra 6 and 9. All right? So this type of behavior right here won't take place, man. You got a humanoid robot, man, that's pregnant. It says Psalms 108 and 9. Moab is my washpot utensil. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Right. He's causing Moab to knock Esau over the head with that shoe. Hey, step up your game, man. All right, step up your game. Get your technology right. He's forcing Esau Edom hand. Bring that chip out, man. Because if not, we gon' bring it. See, Esau Edom worried about getting the Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is worried about getting the fame, the notoriety, and everything else. So he wants to be the first one to bring out this technology. All right. So this is why this man is being forced to move in such a haste fashion as he is, man. Got the Genius Act bill that's coming out next year. They're trying to put the last few touches because why? They're getting ready to introduce the mark of the beast, man. All right. It's being put into law right now as we speak. It's being constituted. All right. They're putting the last finished touches before next year. They say, hey, this is the Genius Act. This is the stable coin. We're going to get you introduced with the currency that goes digital, that makes automatic transactions, that can verify who you are before the transaction is even completed. And either you're going to get on board or not. But the point of it is, you're going to take it in order for what? To buy and sell, to eat, to do whatever else you need to do on this man's grid. Okay? So it says, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Over Philistia will I triumph. So this is all the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. All right? Your thoughts are not his thoughts. All right? As it says, my ways are not your ways. You can't figure out how Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is doing this. All we have to do is just play our part, play our role, man. All right? And let the Lord do the rest, okay? And he's doing it. He's saying he's doing what he said he was going to do, man. All right? He's exposing this damn devil. And these other nations have been drunken off that wine. They've gone insane. And it's going to take us to break them back into reality to know that Yahweh don't play that, okay? So let's go to, this has kind of been lengthy. So let's go to 1 Peter. I believe that's all. Yep, I think that's all. Yeah, that's all. So we'll go to 1 Peter 5 and 8 and we'll close out. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See? Make sure you ain't drinking off that Babylon juice, that Babylon wine, man. All right? Because your adversary, the devil, we see just how much influence this man has over the whole earth. All right? Because why? The Lord gave him that. All right? The Lord is using him as his golden cup to have these other nations intoxicated, to be drunk off the wine, to be insane. Okay? Because why? They're gonna need correction. Okay? And we got the perfect answer to the correction that they're gonna need, man. Hardcore slavery. All right? And Esau Edom gonna get it the baddest because he can't do right, man. In a kingdom full of righteousness, the wicked can't get right, man. So he gonna get it the hardest, man. We're gonna have to really break him over the head with that rod of iron. All right? So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Right? If you drunk, why he got to run after you? If you intoxicated, you can't even stand up straight. All right? These other nations have gone mad. They've been insane, man. All right? You see? So everything is working for the good of those that fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right? We see the few last details being put together before all hell breaks loose. And we warning you, the flock, to get right, and not only get right, but to stay right in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that you endure to the end if you are the elect. All right, because we're close to the end of this man's rulership. All right, and he is going out in a great fashion. Okay, we're talking about Jacob's trouble, famine, pestilence, sword. And we're talking about World War III. But all this is taking place prior, or should I say after that the chip is made mandatory, Then we got missiles coming to destroy this place. And then we're the elect, if those of us enduring to the end, will be delivered in a fashion, in a great fashion, via by the way of chariots, aka are also known as UFOs, UAPs, whatever coin phrase they want to put on them to discredit them, but we know them as the vessels of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right, so everything is working to the to the favor of those that fear the Lord, man. So continue to be sober, continue to be vigilant. All right, and until then, keep your faith, keep your strength. All right. So we're going to go ahead and end on that note and pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. Hey, we almost home. Shalom. Peace.